Hello, my name is Lee Rudd, and this is David Wolf, and we are the pioneers of the fashion forecasting industry, and we're going to tell you a little bit about that today, about how we got started and what the industry is, and from beginning to end. David.
I think the fact that we call ourselves trend forecasters is probably confusing to the world at large. We met in London, and that was the absolute beginning of planting the seeds for something that has become an important part of the fashion industry. How do you explain being a fashion trend forecaster when people talk to you about it? Do you find them bewildered?
I think it's become a more common term recently, but yes, they are a little bit bewildered, and we've often had trouble explaining it.
Yeah.
You've said sometimes it's like connecting the dots, and I've said it's like a huge puzzle with a lot of pieces. And I mean, basically it was predicting cutting edge fashion trends 2 years ahead for the fashion industry, which ended up being global.
Yeah, but I think most people assume that designers don't need any help. And certainly what we invented when we started this incredible company called IM International was explaining to people that we thought of trends before the designers did, and we actually sold our ideas to designers who then turned them into realistic trends.
Yes, absolutely right. And they needed us because, first of all, we saved them time and energy, but we also made them a ton of money. And, basically they're busy doing their designing, and we were able to turn them on, so to speak, to new thinking, new ideas, and they would run with it.
I think it's so interesting that designers who are supposed to get the new ideas actually prefer to buy them from someone else like us, someone who looks at the world at large and not just the fashion industry. I mean,
Yes.
the fashion industry is so insular, and it is a jungle. I mean, certainly as we discovered.
Yes.
But I remember when I first met you in London, I thought, what is this crazy woman talking about? That we're going to, do forecasting of fashion that hasn't happened yet.
Really?
And you really understood exactly what you had in mind. But at the beginning, it didn't start that way. It really started when we met in London, and you were publishing a monthly retail report. But London used to be so far ahead of New York, especially in those days, that if it was selling in London, you knew a year from now it was going to be selling in New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you remember, for me, it started in 1966 when I was
A baby.
10 years old, and I was an intern for André Courrèges in Paris. And it was just such an amazing experience for me. I mean, the entire experience of working there in that showroom and we were just talking about this to Baby Jane Holzer and what was her name, Radziwill, and with my partial French, and then Andre would ask me, did they like the clothes? I mean, it was just bizarre because I didn't always really speak good French, but anyway, so it started for me in 1966 because Andre was so inspiring, so brilliant.
And so important. I mean, people today
Yes.
don't realize that he was the designer who really started the entire futuristic space age kind of look and fashion. And so you were right there in Paris in the thick of it.
Exactly. And, he and Mary Quant in London were really on parallel tracks doing futuristic and color blocking and short. It was quite amazing. So I was commuting at that time between Paris and London, living in an atelier in the left bank in Paris, which was fun.